What's up everybody, this is Scott with 512 Garage and I'm back with another quick tech video. In this series we get to tackle your more technical questions, and today we're going to be tackling the question dry versus oiled. Which filter element is right for your application when you're searching for a new cold air intake for your car? Now both have pros and cons, and we're going to be going over all of them right here, right now in the 512 Garage. All right guys, to kick off this video, we're gonna be covering 5 different areas. Number 1, filtration and flow. So which one of these filter element types actually flows more efficiently? Number 2, we're gonna be talking about the properties of each of these filters. So how do they actually stop those harmful particulates from getting into your engine? Number 3, we're going to be talking about the size of the filter itself and whether size really matters. Number 4, we're going to be tackling a sticky topic. Yeah, the one about your mass airflow sensor and an oil filter. And then finally, number 5, I'm going to wrap it up with some recommendations for you. Now, make sure you hop over to 512garage.com and check out our full line of cold air intakes and replacement filter elements, along with the entire array of performance parts and accessories we have for your car. All right guys, let's talk about filtration and flow. Right here I have a stock OEM paper element filter out of a C7 Corvette, and most OEMs use paper element filters because, well, they need to meet certain minimum filtration standards, and a paper element filter will get you there. Right off the bat, paper element filter will be more restrictive than a cotton gauze reusable oiled filter like this one over here, mostly because they have to meet those standards, whereas in the aftermarket, they're not held to the same standards. So in terms of filtration and flow, this one will win most of the time. And I say most of the time because, well, we've got to talk about the properties of both of these filters next. So in a reusable oiled filter, it not only uses the cotton gauze substrate itself, which is actually more porous than the paper filter to stop those particulates from getting into your engine, it also uses a thin layer of oil to trap the dirt and the dust in the filter so they don't make their way into the engine while allowing increased airflow. On the other hand, the paper filter just, well, uses a folded piece of paper to restrict and limit the amount of particles that get into your engine. However, if this filter is dirty and needs to be cleaned and re-oiled, it can actually flow less effectively than a brand new paper filter. So if you're going to go with an oil filter, you need to make sure you keep it maintained. Now, on the topic of maintenance, this filter gets dirty, you pull it out of your car and you toss it and you put a new one in. This filter over here, you pull it out of your car, you wash it out real good, you dry it, you put a thin coat of oil back on it, stick it back in your car, and it's good for another X amount of miles, depending on where you live and what your driving situation looks like. If you're in a drier, dustier area, you're gonna find yourself washing this filter a lot more than you would in a more damp climate. So you need to factor that in when you're looking at a dry filter versus an oiled filter. How much maintenance do you actually like to do on your car or want to do on your car? Now, if you're gearhead like me, I love popping the hood and getting my hands dirty. So I tend to go for the oiled filters just because, well, I like doing maintenance. And if you're watching this video, you probably do too. Now let's cover size of filter. All right, so as you can see, this is the stock paper filter out of a C7 Corvette, and this is an aftermarket oiled filter. Now, you can also purchase paper element filters that are the same size as this. I'm just showing you the stock versus the aftermarket one, just to give you some more comparison between the two types of filters. So you can see this is a much larger filter element than the stock one is itself. And again, you can purchase a dry filter element that is the exact same size as this one here. So don't let this small size fool you. A larger filter will typically flow more air than a smaller, more restrictive filter, but again, you have to make sure it's clean and you have to make sure it's maintained. And I always recommend a professional dyno tune to really get the most out of any aftermarket modification you do to your car. Now, let's talk about that sticky mass airflow sensor topic. All right, so I've heard this before. What about the engine sucking the oil from the filter into the mass airflow sensor, clogging it up, causing a bunch of issues from these types of filters? Why wouldn't I just go for a dry filter? Now, in the situations where that typically happens is because the filter has been over oiled. You really need to follow the recommendations on how to clean and, well, essentially re-lubricate these filters before reinstalling in your car. Too much oil? Yeah, will probably get sucked in through that mass airflow sensor and it could do some damage. So remember, check the product recommendations and the instructions when you go to clean and re-oil your filter. All right, so let's sum all of this up. Which one is right for you? Well, if you don't like to do a lot of maintenance to your car, I would go for a dry filter every time. You can pull it out, throw it out, put a new one in, and you'll be good to go. Now, you also have to consider the long-term value of a dry versus an oiled filter. So you can get a longer lifespan out of this. You will have to spend between 20 and 40 bucks for a recharger kit that comes with the cleaning solution and the oil, but you can typically get several cleanings and several re-oils out of one recharger kit. So over the course of a long period of time, the oiled filter will probably end up being less expensive than the dry filter. But again, all depends on the driving conditions, where you live, how much you drive your car. Now, if you're looking for more power, a clean oil type filter element like this one will give you more power. But again, with that caveat, you have to get your car tuned if you really want to take advantage of all of that extra airflow. And you probably have some other aftermarket parts and accessories on your car that are additive to overall power numbers, and a tune will likely get you more power with a change in filter like this one here. So I hope that clears up some of the questions between a paper filter or an oil filter and which one is right for you. Now remember, don't forget to hop over to Five12Garage.com and check out our full line of aftermarket cold air intakes and replacement filter elements like this one here, as well as all of the other performance parts and accessories we have up on the site. If this is your first time to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Smash that like button and leave me some comments, because you guys know I love interacting with people who love cars and Corvettes just as much as I do. Till next time, see ya.